Well, good afternoon. If it's Monday, 3 o'clock Eastern, it's Mondays with Michael live here on Facebook. Thank you all for checking out the video today, the story today, if you will. If you're watching this post session in either LinkedIn, Twitter, or here on Facebook, thank you for checking it out. We're continuing our series today, our series on selling more. Who does not want to sell more stuff, products, services? We work with salespeople, we work with business owners, and trying to get them to try to think through selling strategies. And so we've been using over the last couple of weeks the Everything This Sales profile. Let me show it to you here, my little handy dandy handout. Everything This Sales profile, using the Everything This Sales map to kind of talk through how to approach selling from a different perspective, understanding your selling style and how your selling style impacts how you present and how you sell and how you close versus customers' buying styles, and really identifying different buying styles. So for the last 2 weeks, we've done the D salesperson, dominance, the I influence salesperson, the second in the series of 4. Today we're going to talk about the S, or steadiness salesperson, the S style, if you will. But as always, just as a reminder, as we're going through our sessions here, that we really look at the 3 P's of selling: product, process, people. Product, got to know everything about what you're selling, product or services. Process, and there goes the phone, because in a small business, the phone rings all the time. So there goes the phone. Somebody's going to pick up the phone on the other end. And then there's people, the process, and then people. Understanding that people have different buying needs. People have different things they need to hear, need to see, need to talk about before they make a yes decision. So today we're going to talk about the S, the steadiness, and we're going to talk about the S style as a salesperson, and then we're going to talk about how to adapt as an S salesperson to the 4 different styles. So let's talk about the S first. And the S is priorities. And for those of you who have seen me do the disc overview before, the S's are the calm, cool, collected, don't like ripples in the waves type of person. They like to work in groups. They like to have a plan. They tend to put the needs of others before the needs of themselves. And then, again, that'll help a little bit in selling. But they're really calm, cool, collected. They're a little more laid back. So unlike the D's and the I's, when they go out prospecting or making a presentation to clients, they're not that get up on the table, scream at the moon type of salesperson. They're a little more laid back, which is fine most of the time. But there are going to be folks that you're going to talk to that may need to see a little more enthusiasm in your presentation. But their priorities are sincerity, dependability, and building relationships. Okay, it's all that people stuff. It's that sincerity, dependability, and relationships. So keeping that in mind as you're starting to build your presentations and you're trying to build these relationships with your prospects, you have the strengths really to do that. Unlike D's and I's that just want to get in, and get out, we'll talk about that in a bit, your priority is really to build a relationship with this person you're about to present to. And that's an important part of the sales process, because people tend to buy from people they like or people they trust, or both. And as a S salesperson, I would say a lot more people will probably like you and trust you right away. And that's a good thing to have in the start of the process. So let's talk about buying styles. We're going to start with the D buying style, and we're going to take this from an S perspective. So D's priorities in buying, okay, they want to know, A, if the thing, your product you're selling really works. So you have to prepare something for the D to make sure that you have evidence that this thing you're about to sell them really works. And remember, D's like quick decisions. They get in, get out. They don't like a lot of the small talk. And S's tend to focus in on things outside the product or service. They don't mind talking about what's going on in the community, sports, family, maybe a picture that's in your office. And that'll be great when you start talking with S's and I's. But for D's, they're not really going to be into that. So when you get to the office of a D person, you have to get to the point, state the facts, make it a shorter conversation. It's not personal, it's business. And so stick to business. Get in, get out, and move on to the next person. The I's, now again, the I's are going to be similar to you because relationships are also important to I's, but I's like to be really talkative. And so you have to keep that in mind, that I's can scatter here, there, and everywhere in the conversation. As an S, you're going to have to kind of hold them in a little bit at times, get them to focus in on what it is you're really trying to present to them. Okay, but I's also like that relationship thing, so they'll probably be more apt to talk about social things outside of what you're presenting. Again, pictures on the wall, things happening in the community, friends, family, that kind of thing. So you'll be able to have those types of conversations with the I. Again, I's tend to be longer conversations, where D's will be shorter conversations. Now, again, when you're presenting to S's, like you, S's tend to be warm, friendly, comfortable, laid back, and you're going to have a nice, warm, comfortable conversation with the S. As we talked about last time, S's tend to need others' input before they make a buying decision. So it may take them a little longer to get to yes, and they may need to bring other people on from the team into the meeting. You may meet with a group of folks, not just one. But you're going to be simpatico with the S because you have this kind of calm demeanor, and you're worried about each other, making sure each of you are comfortable in the meeting. So that may be a good meeting for you. And last but not least, the high C. Now, you and the C will be laid back, okay, where D's and I's are a bit more aggressive. S's and T's and C's going to be a little more laid back. So you'll be a little more laid back with the C, but unlike yourself, the C's tend to focus on logic, facts, and the data and the details of the conversation. So it's important that you have all of those facts and data and details so that when you present to the C, you have all that information. Again, they focus more on facts like the D, where you and the I tend to focus on feelings. So make sure the facts are all in line. It may be a longer conversation than the D because they might probably want to have a little more detail, but it's definitely going to be something that's different than the IS presentation. So that's just some tips for you. Again, going back to my assessment here, the assessment gives you lots of tips in the second part of the assessment on identifying the different types of styles. Now, we have a tool called myeverythingthis.com that will help you identify style as a salesperson. So when you go into the meeting, you'll have a little more detail. Like we've talked about in the previous sessions, it's very important that you have 4 different types of presentations depending on who you're presenting to. So you'll have a D presentation, an I presentation, an S presentation, and a C presentation, and associated materials based on the customer you're presenting to. But as we talked earlier, Ds tend to be driven, forceful, and strong-willed. And you'll notice that when you sit down with them and start talking to them. I's will be emotive, talkative, and can be, as we talked about a bit earlier, scattered. Can be a bit scattered. You have to get them focused in. S's are easygoing, soft-spoken, and uncritical. Like yourself, you'll see these things when you present to the S. And then the C style tend to be logical, systemic, task-oriented, and analytical. So make sure you have all the details. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we present this program in a half day or a full day, depending on the needs of the client. It can be a nice piece to an overall couple days of training where you're taking your salespeople through product, taking your salespeople through process, and then you get them through people. You'll see in the assessment there is an actual comparison of you to one of your customers. You'll do that in the assessment process. You see 2 dots there. One is you, one is your customer. And then it gives you some tips on strategies on how to interact with this individual. Very, very important. As always, I'll put a link to this course and to this assessment in the message area wherever you're seeing this. We are offering, if you see this and would like to take the assessment for yourself as a free sample, we're happy to do that. I can send you a link to take it. Happy to debrief once you get your results on how you can use that information in better presenting and qualifying your customers. We're also doing another webinar later on in the month. We're doing it on the Everything Disc Work of Leaders, the Everything Disc Work of Leaders assessment tool and program. We're doing a 30-minute webinar about that later on in the month. I'll put another link in the chat box or the message box wherever you're seeing this, so you can register for that. And that kind of wraps up our S story today. Our next session will be all about the C salesperson, conscientious. So we're going to wrap up the 4-part series by talking about C's. We'll talk about D, I, S, and C. Again, this is a great program to help your salespeople sell more. So just use the hashtag sell more. I see we're coming up to the end of the time here, so I'm going to wrap this up. It's Mondays with Michael live here on Facebook. Sell more, close more, make more money. Talk to you later. See you next Monday. Bye-bye.